strength of Token Druid is having those good hands, right? That can go wide up board against classes that can't deal with it. And so when focusing on the strength, that makes sense. But when both players have the same strengths and they're the same lineup, or the same list, right? Nearly one card or two cards different.
Yeah, they're playing.
Then who knows anymore?
Yep. Then we have to just watch what happens. And we'll get to see, I mean, we could just about cast this without looking at the card, which is what I do most weeks anyway. But I think with these two players, you can tell from their expressions a lot of the time. Apart from Briarthorn, who never pops off. What's going on?
Briarthorn has popped off. And honestly, we play it like 10 times a day. The only time Briarthorn's ever popped off, we captured that moment, and we play it in every break, in every intro, in every outro. So by this point, if you haven't seen Briarthorn pop off, then what are you even doing?
Yeah, you need to be watching those intros more rather than getting your popcorn ready.
Yeah. All right, let's get in the matchup. DreadEye, I feel like he's probably going to win.
He's got the mana production and he's got a Glowfly Swarm. So I would agree with you. They're the two things you really want. But Briarthorn has got 2 Glowfly Swarms. So there is a world where if DreadEye doesn't get to buff his things quickly enough, which he will because he has Power of the Wild, that Briarthorn could get the Soul of the Forest or the second Swarm set up.
DreadEye casually, I'm going to coin out this Fungal Fortunes. Nods his head as he hits Lightning Bloom. This is pretty good.
Yeah, next turn looks good.
Ah, God, I love Token Druid mirrors.
Yeah.
This is why the APAC casters are so happy all the time.
It is, isn't it? Because they always cast this. For 2 years, all they've done is cast trees. They always say that about the APAC, don't they? That its bark's worse than its bite.
We're just going to let that one sit there for a very long time.
Yeah, we're just going to end the broadcast now and just let everyone carry that home.
Just let that one marinate a little bit.
Innovate's handy here because now he doesn't have to overload in case he needs to do something else.
However, it's one less. It's one less fly. Right, because he would be using 3 cards, which means he'd be left with 6 in hand. So if he wants a full board, then he'd go Lightning Bloom plus Glowfly Swarm. So have 7 spells in hand.
Does he need a full board? I mean, it's nice. I understand why you want more things rather than fewer things, but does he need it?
All right, now he wants even less.
And now I'm getting
All about the board, though.
The things. Is there a response? I don't think there is.
Pride's Fury and Value Trade.
Yeah, from where he sat, I agree. But unfortunately, we can see the Power of the Wild coming back the other way. Maybe Briarthorn does get enough time to get into his Glowflies of his own. Surely not.
He's going to think about it for quite some time, but I think he's going to come to the conclusion that if he doesn't have the board, Prize Fury is going to be unplayable. And if he double trades and innervates and Glowfly Swarms, then that's just not good. There's almost nothing else that's playable here, and at least this will contest this board to some extent for the foreseeable future. But DreadEye's actually got a pretty decent turn of his own. He can go Adorable Infestation, then play the 1/1, then Power of the Wild. It's very unlikely that he loses the board from that point because he gets to value trade down. And then he can go Soul of the Forest the following turn.
Sure, yeah. It's awkward because he's got good choices. It's not awkward because it's bad for him. This can go wrong still because if he Lightning Blooms to try and be too greedy, he might find himself in trouble because he won't be able to do anything particularly useful next turn.
Oh, he's going to double. Wait. Oh, he just wants a full board for Power of the Wild.
Yeah.
Okay.
I get it.
Yeah.
But this has got to get there because he has no Well, he does have a play next turn. He has Power of the Wild next turn, plus whatever he draws. But that's it. He's all in on this. Which is probably enough, but it's not a lethal threat right now.
Yeah, that probably just gets there. Actually, is it a lethal threat right now? 25?
Oh, it is.
No, he'd be 1 mana
Power
off.
of the Wild.
It's 25 with Power of the Wild if nothing gets cleared.
That's hero power. No, he can't.
He doesn't have enough mana.
You said he's a mana off. That's why you said he's a mana off, because he is.
Yeah. And, I mean, you just fully trade down the board here. Full value trade. There's nothing that Druid can do to deal 1 damage to a bunch of things unless they're playing resizing pouch, but I don't think either of them are.
Well, now I see why you love Druid Mirrors. And Briarthorn just, yeah. What can you say? He did nothing wrong or crazy, just didn't get the coin. Or enough coin.
Yeah, I mean, he just died. Yeah, I mean, that's what happens. Obviously going to play it out, but there's just nothing in the deck or in the class, really, that deals incremental damage. Just kidding, he got Pounce!
You woke me up, TJ. I was having a bit of a nap getting ready for the next game.
All right, game 1.
The books.
That's right.
Briarthorn has still got his warrior and his rogue. It is a control warrior, and you've really got to fancy the control warrior against this druid, I think.
Absolutely. I don't know in any world where he would queue rogue in this instance. But yeah, I mean, Druid Mirrors are incredibly volatile. It's completely about the board, and oftentimes the first player to take definitive control of the board just wins, because the deck has almost no comeback mechanics outside of, like I said, if you can get like resizing pouch and, you know, build a board, play it with 1 mana remaining, and get animated broomstick, right? Like, that's it.
Yeah.
It's not a very likely scenario.
That's the sort of...
Wow, Briarthorn's queuing rogue.
Of course he is. There you are. So he must like...
All right, I had to have spoken
more against something else. Oh, he doesn't want this rogue to run into the Rush Warrior of DreadEye. Where he's at here.
Okay, sure.
That's what I've got. That's all I've got.
Okay.
So by doing
that makes
this,
sense.
he avoids the Priest, which is a bad matchup, and he avoids the Rush Warrior, which is a bad matchup. But he also sacrifices the Warrior into the Druid, which is a really, 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 really good matchup.
Yeah, the way I look at it is, I think that no, it's not necessarily the case, right? Rogue is not one of the worst matchups against Token Druid because you have a lot of early board control. I mean, that's essentially your entire deck is early board control. It's just like 1 wide board, and that's all it takes. And you're using all of your resources to try and get there if they have even a decent opening. So it's a matter of whether Briarthorn thinks that his rogue is a worst matchup against the Token Druid or the Rush Warrior, and he seems to think that it's a worse matchup into the Rush Warrior.
Sure. And it will also depend on how he feels his Control Warrior does against Priest, because that's a discussion we'll have to have later, but that's a thing that will come up as well at some point. Oh no, the Priest is banned, so it's just not. Ignore me. That's fine. Right.
Wait, are you sure?
No, I'm not sure of anything right now. I've confused myself. No, he banned the Demon Hunter.
He banned Demon Hunter away from DreadEye. Yeah.
But he thinks his control... Yeah, back to what I thought then. He thinks his Control Warrior has got a chance because he's got a Sira against the Priest, and I don't necessarily disagree with that.
Yeah, it doesn't go like his control warrior is way more focused on like anti-aggro mid-range. It doesn't have the tools to go super deep. Doesn't have the Cthulhu. So I would say that it's probably not that great against Priest. So I guess this Q order makes sense. All right, but that concludes our talk about Q order. Now in the meantime, Briarthorn's hand is pretty good. He's got Octobot, which would reduce Jandis Barav. Has Mankrik. The only thing he's missing is like a field contact or some ways to deal with these early board states.
Arbor up. Just sorry to interrupt you. Do you want to arbor up here?
Let's see. What would that leave him next turn?
Thorn growth next turn. And then you're back into Arbor up on turn 5. And you're challenging the Octobot to make Briarthorn have something to proc it.
Yeah, the punish is like brain freezes. But yeah, I think you do it just to try and get rid of some of this potential Octobot value. Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off there, but I thought this was more interesting than whatever it was you were talking about.
Yeah, I don't even remember what I was talking about, so you're probably right.
So no brain freeze, but there is a stab, which doesn't do much because it's turn 3.
Could go coin plunder on his Octobot.
Mm-hmm.
Then Tenwu the Plunderer play it again and Wand Thief.
Sure, and the one thing he knows is obviously the downside of DreadEye's play is he knows that DreadEye can't do much next turn. Power of the Wild is kind of the maximum push next turn, or the Thorn Growth. That's it. They're the two things that can happen to Briarthorn. So he can afford to be pretty liberal with his resources here.
Initiating overdrive.
Oh wait, this is good because this is a clear. Oh no, this is way better. Then he gets the Tenwu played again, and that's a clear. Oh yeah, and he gets Shooting Star. Oh yeah.
You feeling this?
You love to see it. You love to see it.
Oh, do you arbor up on turn 2? Yeah. Okay, and Briarthorn's just completely taken control of this. Rogue obviously having very little removal, so when it's got minions out there like this, that's how it deals with wide boards. Just have its own wide board and trade. It's not going to have a chance to trade though, because it's going to be too busy hitting DreadEye in the face over the next couple of turns.
Yeah. That was well spotted from Briarthorn. I didn't think to use the Wicked Stab there, but this ends up clearing the board where if he plundered his Octobot first, then he wouldn't be clearing the board. He would be building the same amount. He'd be a Wicked Stab up in hand, but there'd be a minion on the other side. So
it's weird. I think that everybody just forgets Wicked, well, apart from Briarthorn apparently, forgets Wicked Stab even exists half the time because it's just in your hand to finish the game with later.
Yeah. All right, so Shadow Step, he's got to make the decision here. He can Mankrik and just dagger up and then, take a couple trades onto the board and then go for the Jandis and Shadow Step the Jandis the next turn. It would kind of mean that he would be taking minion off board and then like dedicating his next turn to playing Jandis, but it doesn't have to be that, and I don't think there's any reason to just use the Shadow Step here to like get an extra mage spell, right? Because that's going to be available to him next turn almost certainly.
And it was very, very unlikely that anything particularly nasty was going to happen to him from a 3-card Druid hand, so he's got time to respond if needed by keeping his options open here, but yeah. Just plopping a Jandis onto the board, get yourself a nice Earth Elemental, and your opponent will concede. It's fine.
What makes something real?
Especially if your opponent's Raven.
Oh, okay. Grandmaster! All right. Pack it up!
Yep.
You put on the Steward of Scrolls every time. Not even a choice.
Yeah, you just want this 3-7. I mean, the 3-7 itself is good enough, and then the Druid deck is all spells.
Yeah.
Because you want your Fungal Fortunes to work, so that's why it's all spells.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't even know if like Shadow Stepping the Jandis is correct there, because if DreadEye's spending 2 mana to kill a Jandis, you've won that game anyway.
I'll throw out the fringe case where you need another 2 minions to take out 2 opposing minions. I have no idea how that comes about. I have no idea when DreadEye would be in that great position, having got past this Ogremancer and this Steward of the Strolls and not died. But in that world, you might want 2 more minions from Jandis.
Sure.
How curious.
However, back in the real world, it looks like this is the end of the game.
Yeah, I don't. I just want to save my mental energy here.
Right, well, we'll go out for a bit then.
No, I'm talking if I'm DreadEye, right? There's, he's like, ooh, I'm out of here. All right, 2 quick games. All tied up, 1-1.
And
now DreadEye, though,
are out. They're done. No more druids from these 2.
Yep, druids are out. And now DreadEye gets his choice of decks against the rogue. It's either Rush Warrior or Control Priest. I'm assuming it's going to be the Rush Warrior. Makes the most sense. Decent matchup. And then if he can take that one, then even if Control Warrior beats his Rush Warrior, it means that he has Control Priest and a good matchup against the Control Warrior to end the series. And I just looked over at my deck tracker. Looks like we're getting confirmation that the Rush Warrior is going to be the queue up. But now this is an opportunity for Briarthorn to really kind of swing things on its head. If he is able to take a win against the Rush Warrior, it sets up a pretty decent matchup against Briarthorn's Control Priest. And honestly, like looking at how the matchup will pan out if things just happen the way they should, right, based on matchups, DreadEye should not have an issue winning this series. And I think that this is the biggest one, the biggest opportunity for Briarthorn to throw a wrench into what's supposed to happen by taking a win in a very tough matchup. But I don't think it's as tough.
He set it up with his weird call last game by taking the rogue and not the warrior into this. So he's given this a chance to get 2 wins, knowing that he was unfavored probably. Just decide, okay, which unfavored matchups do I want to target? And he's got these 2, which is halfway there. If he can get this one done as well, then he becomes a massive favorite suddenly. Well, a big favorite anyway.
Yeah, but this is, again, this one's one of the worst matchups for Rogue, just because the Rush Warrior has these massive swing turns and kind of operates similarly to the Rogue, where they're trying to like assemble resources in hand to go for swing turns, except Rogue's drawing their deck and Warriors just constantly making their minions larger. And at a certain point, there's not enough cards in the world that can stop how large the minions are able to get. So
yeah, it was something we talked about quite a bit at the Masters tour, which was the people who chose to play Broom and the people who chose to play Penflinger in their rogue decks, which were basically pretty much the same as they are now, give or take. And the people who brought to the Broom got 1 or 2 turns against Warrior where they could maybe turn the tables, but even then they tended to do it just to hang on rather than to actually win the game. So that tech seemed to have vanished fairly quickly. I don't think we see many Brooms anymore.
they're still somewhere. They still exist.
Choose so many options.
They cannot stop my work.
Very good end for DreadEye.
Yeah, I was just going to say, one of the weaknesses of Warrior is sometimes you get kind of clunky hands. This is not one of those occasions.
Meanwhile, Briarthorn's got one of those awkward hands.
Could develop pretty fast if picks up the right 1 or 2 minions, but it might just be too late by then. Oh, Parade Leader's a big deal as well for DreadEye.
Yeah, just something to play on the board.
Bones just keep moving.
This is the card that, for me, ends the games where your opponent's got a bad hand the quickest. Usually it doesn't do much, but when it does, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. And for Briarthorn, it's probably just Mancrick.
Yeah.
Weapon for my master.
And everything in DreadEye's deck just about trades into this right now. That's not saying Briarthorn did anything wrong. He just had to play on curve because of his terrible hand, but it's not going to achieve much.
Worthy for unworthy.
Probably Blademaster Samuro.
I want Samuro in my back pocket in case things go wrong. What's Briarthorn doing if you're DreadEye? Like there's all sorts of nasty things can be accumulating for a big pop-off turn, right? So you take the Blademaster
Yeah.
to clear up any disasters. As it happens, Briarthorn's just got utter garbage for now.
Time is fleeting.
Well, he needs this. Yeah.
The problem here is you're just emptying your hand, essentially,
To stay alive.
to stay alive. And it looks like it's just going to be Guardian Augmerchant plus Brain Freeze.
Yeah. Well, on the face of it, it might look like it's okay staying alive and building a little board. It's a board of nothing that the warrior can pick up with ease, and the warrior, unless you can get rolling very soon with the rogue, the warrior should start drawing cards pretty fast as well. Although at the moment it hasn't done.
My blade seeks vengeance.
This is fine. He's got another Blademaster in the deck, so he can use this one unconditioned. Gross. Oh, jeez.
No.
All right, this is not the hand that gets there.
No. He needed a field contact or a secret passage or something like immediately there. That was the one turn where if he'd had actual Hearthstone cards in his hand, he may have been okay. And now it all just goes horribly wrong very, very fast. Nope, not that one either. What's going on, TJ?
These games have just been, oh my goodness gracious. It's like one player just doesn't stand a chance in
Yeah,
all of the games that it feels like we've shown in this series.
no, absolutely.
And this is a pretty easy, just maybe not easy. I was thinking swing, attack, conditioning, Sword Eater, but I don't think there's a reason to Sword Eater right now. He doesn't really need to. He's going to be able to get that big swing anyway. 4/5 Parade Leader, sure.
Into some bumpers, riders, into having Samuru back up.
Yep. 9, 10, 11 damage with Sword Eater. It'd be an extra 3, so it's not a lethal setup. All right, well, I mean, this is something.
It needs to be something, all right. Too slow, probably, but good luck. Can't even play Solarian Prime next turn.
Wait, Vash Prime? Is that anything? I mean, he can't even kill it off. Oh no, he can't kill it off because the Sword Eater's just. Nah, he's incredibly dead.
So much deaded. Prove us wrong, Briarthorn. Find the thing. Okay, that's a start. 26 to go.
Okay, so Wand Thief off the top. Nope. And then you Jantis Wand Thief, get double Raz Frost Whisper, and then discover spell damage.
Or get Blood Herald.
Yeah, or get Blood Heralds.
Because that works the
too.
game.
All right.
Yeah. Sorry.
Man, this series has been weird. It's like the player that's on the losing end just feels like they never even had a chance. So the series is just progressing as expected. And if that's the case, then we're going to... I mean, Briarthorn only has Control Warrior left, so it's going to be Control Warrior versus Rush Warrior. Pretty good matchup for Briarthorn, and then he's going to lose spectacularly against the Control Priest, which just outvalued him.
Sure, as you. I'm fairly sure, like, the Priest will probably get it done, but there's that Asura in Briarthorn's deck. It's not a Cthulhu, which is the main problem, because the Cthulhu does provide a lot of value in the game, not just the threat of doing 30, but even the Cthulhu cards. It's one of the few matchups where those cards are actually good in their own right. They can protect you from fatigue, all that good stuff. I mind-rendered one of those earlier on and still lost in fatigue because my opponent just was able to play for fatigue from the start because it provides value. However, here, as you pointed out, this is more of an anti-aggro lineup. There's a little bit of value in Asura, the Steward of the Scrolls of all things as well, but that's kind of it.
Yeah, it's very weird. Very weird list. He only runs one Shield Maiden, which honestly was, I think, the buff of a card that made Control Warrior like actually playable, right? Well, it was playable before, but it's being able to play that for 5 minutes huge instead of 6. And he only plays one, and then plays double Rancor, which, you know, if you're using it as like a target for Token Druid, sure, but Rancor is a very difficult card to use in a lot of matchups. And then his late game is just Ysera. There's no Cthulhu, nothing else. It's just Ysera.
And the War
Which can sometimes be, War Cache. Which can sometimes be enough, but in my experience, you're going to lose to a lot of slow matchup if you just play Ysera. And honestly, I also think this variation with only a single Shield Maiden without like Corsair Cache to have additional chance of pulling Bulwark, this list also loses to Mage.
Right.
Briarthorn's particular list. And even possibly Weapon Rogue. So it seems to be targeting like just Rogue, Miracle Rogue, and Token Druid. Which, in my understanding, you can do that, right? You don't have to make your deck good against the field. You just have to make it good against a couple things, and then it's done its job.
The problem is, and I mean, I'm the first to admit this, I think I'd have brought Control Warrior this week, albeit I'd have brought a very greedy one and tried to beat Priests. The problem is, he has to ban Demon Hunter with this, because this can never beat a Demon Hunter. Imagine a Priest that doesn't have Mind Render. That's what this is against Demon Hunter.
Yeah.
These old bones just keep moving.
It means he has to ban it, because it's almost a free win, the Demon Hunter against the Control Warrior.
Briarthorn's thinking here, what's the expected play the next turn? All the expected plays make everything get out of range of Minefield, so I just pull the trigger on Minefield right now.
No.
Or not.
Guy's got Crab Rider in his hand. What a terrible card that is. Why would anyone ever play this really bad card? Oh, turns out it's really good. It's fine. Kargath's just the right shape for this job, I think.
Kargath and Fishy Flower. Quite well shaped.
I can only assume that Briarthorn doesn't want to draw the Prime because he can't play it and he hasn't actually got much to challenge the board with right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, Dreader's going to protect the board.
Yep.
Don't know if there's a reason to play either of these. He's got Runtack in hand.
don't think you're in a particular hurry. I think the people I've seen play the best with Warrior are the ones who really hold on to these riders as long as they dare.
The blade fist has no master.
This is where things start to get a little tricky, though.
Here for a good time.
Is like, how many resources do you use to try and fight for board as the quote-unquote aggressor in the matchup?
Yeah, you've got to... Because if you do nothing, which is what he's choosing to do, to try and have a swing turn or two, or to try and get everything buffed up, then the warrior will eventually just stick something. Although this warrior doesn't have anything to stick. It can't just plop a Rattlegore down because it doesn't have one.
No, it ain't popping anything down. Let's put it that way. It pops a Scorpion down, and I guess wand makers,
Right.
but nothing else.
Yeah. You don't choose the Rattlegores. The Rattlegores choose you. And they didn't choose Briarthorn.
No. So this can become like a resource battle.
Worthy or
Yeah, I think that's where DreadEye's at. He's trying to just be incredibly greedy because he knows he can't get beaten up. They've had a day to prepare for this after yesterday, so they've known this this top 12 matchup for a while.
Yep, a while.
worthy or unworthy.
A
A lot
day.
of these players get teammates to test with them or for them, even in some cases, sort of overnight when they know these matchups. So this greed will be planned greed. He's not just sort of inventing it on the spur of the moment.
Is fleeting.
I'm kind of curious. So my initial thought was just run deck here over the 2/2, force the trade with the Venomous Scorpid, but then you'd be only getting one buff total from the Overlord run deck, no matter what. Maybe he wants to get a little bit greedier, but I think that's too hopeful.
There we
But
go.
all right.
So he made the call on turn 3 to run Thack on 5, but then the Scorpid sort of put the Scorpid in the works. So he just stopped, he just pressed the button again, like, you're not killing me yet, Briarthorn, so I don't care.
Ah, jeez. What is Steward of Scrolls doing in here?
Fetching slams.
Armor!
Yeah.
Lightly used armor!
Maybe escaped from Battlegrounds. That's the other steward. It's not this steward. Quite sure how it got here. Briarthorn does have a tendency to like these very high value or multi-purpose value cards, if you like. Dispel damage, draw a card, have a 4/4. That's a very Briarthorn set of card stats.
Yeah.
And they've served him pretty well over the last sort of year.
I'll be honest, I don't know what's happening here.
So DreadEye is just trying to not play any cards. And Briarthorn is trying to kill him with the Steward of Scrolls.
Yeah, but he's playing cards. That's the problem.
Yeah, if you're not going to play cards, then don't play cards, I guess, is the...
If I were Briarthorn, what would I pick?
all three.
Probably Fleet Hoof Pearl Tusk. Nope, Rusty Raider. I'm not in tune with my inner Briarthorn today, I guess.
I thought he would pick it as well. I did think. But I'm new to this. You should know better. I'm going to blame you for not knowing what he was taking there.
Yeah, another run Thack. All right.
Aren't even ready.
Going to run it back again.
So he's going to fill up his hand with 1/1s, and honestly, he doesn't even have enough
Yeah,
hand space.
but that's fine.
I mean, he has enough hand space, but then he would burn a card. Yeah, but I guess he's okay with that. Oh no, he doesn't have enough hand space because there's 8 1/1s that are going to be spawned.
Yeah. Say that as if Briarthorn's going to be able to kill them. Oh yeah, he's got a handful of absolute all the removal you could ever need.
I mean, that's all his hand does, honestly, is kill things.
Why is Scorpius still there?
Yeah, because Briarthorn can actually clear this if he wants.
Maybe.
No. Without killing the Scorpion, could just go like Slam and Bladestorm, but Bladestorm's a pretty premium removal piece. I don't think he wants to part ways with it just yet.
Yeah, that will discourage DreadEye from just, putting a massive thing on the board. Briarthorn looking for different route. He can't find one. He's going to have to do it the way that we were looking at, I think.
My hand is full.
All right, he gets away with it.
Now.
Yeah, I don't think he's too worried about that.
You gonna cry?
Now the game, I think, is afoot, finally. I think that we've done this sort of preliminary gentleman's excuse me. You go, no, you go. And now they're going, finally.
Many ways to clear this. He could Bladestorm Minefield. He could Bladestorm Execute.
Maybe.
He could
No.
Slam Bladestorm Rustied Raider. I guess he could just Bladestorm Rustied Raider.
Okay.
He could Slam the Fishy Flyer, Spectral
Maybe-
Flyer, Bladestorm.
So basically, every
he could do
combination
that.
of cards in his hand clears the board, apart from this.
Any combination of cards plus Bladestorm.
Seems like the right time to play the Raider, though. It's exacties, so that's usually a good time to play a card. And the only problem is now that gets traded into, and all the riders grow.
Oh, yeah. Run Thack.
Unthack number 1.
Here for a good time.
Yeah, I only want to part ways with 2 of these here because he's got another Run Thack.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to play into Brawl too much, but wants to threaten something.
Doing its best Dr. Boom impression, which isn't a very good impression, so they need to sort that out. Friends. Briarthorn cleans it up once again. How does he ever...
Ladies and gentlemen,
I feel like he's going to run out of stuff because the way DreadEye's played it.
Yeah.
Could well be wrong.
No, it does feel that way, certainly. He's going to run that again. Stuff's going to start to get too big for like Minefield and Slam to make a meaningful difference.
Yeah.
However, like Ysera provides a lot of resources, Brawl plus Bladestorm, but if you can get those lined up well, also provide a lot of resources.
Yeah, there's not many decks scale as well as this Warrior deck, are there? Like, it just, whatever turn it is, the minions kind of match it, no matter which ones they are. Plus you can buff your 1-drops. Like, if you draw a 1-drop in a Rogue deck on turn 13, you've probably drawn up the worst card in your deck. But in this deck, you can do something with it.
Yeah. Now the name of the game for DreadEye is trying to efficiently push damage and hope that a conditioning is on the horizon.
Yes. Oh, wow, yeah. Conditioning would be pretty silly right
For
now.
a good time.
Using his riders fairly liberally to make sure he can push extra damage from the stuff on the board. And this is what you were talking about in the intro. DreadEye is just a very, very solid player. I don't know if he was a solid player when he qualified and has got, just overlooked for that time, or if he has really put the work in and got a lot better since he qualified.
Maybe. No.
Maybe a little bit of both.
Could be. Could well be.
Yeah. He's, again, been kind of under the radar, been floating up there in the standings, consistently making it to those top 8s. I mean, this feels like
So many
he's still not like super far. Whoa, okay. DreadEye nods to see that.
He nodded indeed.
I guess Briarthorn just trying to take this opportunity to get online. They're 7, 9, 12. I mean, this is scary though, right? This is incredibly scary.
I think he needed the Awakens. I think that's the main reason for this play.
Yeah.
Obviously, he doesn't need it immediately. Obviously, he's still got some removal. But like you highlighted a moment ago, the minions are getting too big, and Awakens can only just about keep up, let alone the other cards.
Or unworthy.
Oh, this is tough though. I wonder if you just cash in on Alex Straza now.
I'm not too young to fight.
That's interesting.
Yeah, well, Warmall Challenger and Ricard have a lot of synergy, and all right, he did do the math. Okay, cool. It's just a straight-up removal of Warmall Challenger. Only extends one minion further onto the board, but that one minion essentially gets to clear off the Ysera and build up the power of the board. So I like that.
Yeah, that was very nicely worked, and 4 minions is probably where he wants to be at. 1 from the weapon, from a brawl. So you usually have 3, but if they've got a weapon, you need more to get around that to some degree.
Yep.
It's the sweet spot where you force them to brawl.
Nice use
Using
of
the
Awakens.
Well, it still works. Now he's got Barroth Bladestorm for the next onslaught, but he's getting killed. Like, he's just barely hanging on now.
Yeah, he really doesn't have much more armor gain left. He only plays 1 Shield Maiden. He's got 1 more Armor Vendor. Bulwark of Azeroth could be good.
How much is this ETC?
Is that? I mean, there's just not enough stuff to attack into, right? I mean,
Yeah,
his
so it's
riders
only
are too
6.
big. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm going to rephrase that. Is 6 enough? 6 damage to face with Alex in hand.
I mean, he could just Alex face this turn and then rush one of the 3/3 riders in to protect the 8/8. And then set up for an ETC lethal or to threaten ETC lethal
Yeah.
at every step of the way.
That's where he's at.
Yeah.
Plus weapon lethal is set up as well. He hasn't got one at the moment, but they come. They're there somewhere.
Yep. So he just needs a minion with more than 4 health, I believe, because 2 of his riders are still buffed. 1 of his riders is not buffed. So he needs something with like 5 health or more to stick on the board, because with an armor up from Briarthorn, assuming no additional armor gain happens. Whoa, and he's going to coerce. Yep, that's game.
Wow.
And series.
Amazing from DreadEye. He's very, very tidy. He played incredibly slowly because of the exact deck lists. He played incredibly slowly at the start, knowing that he could get away with that because Briarthorn couldn't put any pressure on. Look how far we are from fatigue. Nowhere near fatigue. And DreadEye knew the matchup. I don't mean he knew Rush Warrior versus Control Warrior. I mean he knew his Rush Warrior versus Briarthorn's Control Warrior and played it superbly, I feel.
Yeah, that was a good recognition of what to do in the matchup to go and burst instead of just throwing all of your stuff on the board every turn. Like the way he played that one, and it paid off in the end. Even just like how to sequence it, right? Go with Alex Straza first and clear off the board. Try and get your opponent to play out a minion. And I don't know if Briarthorn's ever going to recognize that spot, right? That he just shouldn't play minions anymore. He had enough removal in his hand to not have to play any more minions for a while. So how much is that 7-6 doing on the board, right? That's like the biggest question. But that's hard to say, right? Does he win if he just kind of floats by every turn, you know? It's tough to say.
He does, because there's another troublemaker on the way at some point as well. So he has to defend against that.
Yeah, it's again a very difficult situation to be in, and the Alexstrasza could tell you troublemaker, or it could tell you ETC, right?
Yeah.
That he just wants to expend that mana now to try and get it out of the way so that he can set up